Hey everyone, welcome to bright sunny England. Great weather to ride an electric bike around. Nice breeze in your hair and mud everywhere. But still, we're going to get on with this review and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this bike. Thanks to ENGWE for sending this out to me. Now, you'll see this is in a kind of like a motorbike design. ENGWE actually, in their description, say moped style e-bike. And I'm not sure if moped is really the best description. To me, it looks a bit more like an old-fashioned motorbike, but that doesn't really matter. I'm going to be riding this and I'll tell you my thoughts on it. But initially, let me just give you a quick overview and then I'll go into some more detail. So this does have very good front and rear suspension. This has probably been one of the most comfortable heavyweight e-bikes I've ridden off-road, and you can constantly feel that rear suspension working. The front suspension is also nice too, but I feel like the rear suspension is making the most difference, and I'm not really that great with e-bike parts yet in understanding, which ones are higher and lower quality when it comes to their branding. That's something I'm still learning, but the rear suspension, this one has felt really great and really adds to that ride comfort. And also, you'll see I have the 2 battery version here, which does add quite a lot of weight. I can't remember the weight off the top of my head, but this is a very heavy e-bike. I think it was around 43 kilos, but I will put that up on the screen when I talk a bit more about the specifications. This did come fully unlocked, which was a little bit surprising. It has a top speed, I believe, of around, well, I actually got, my top speed was 26 miles per hour. So regardless of what the specs are, that's what I managed to get on the screen at least. I did get to 27, but I think I was on a slight decline there, so that probably doesn't count. This is also using a 7-speed Shimano gear system. We've got front and rear mechanical disc brakes. I would have liked hydraulic disc brakes because they do feel high quality, and I feel like they do stop heavier bikes like this a bit quicker, so a little bit of a downside there. I did really like this seat also because it's quite wide and big, so it does give you quite a lot of comfort. You can fit 2 people on this if you really try. One of you has to slide quite far forwards and it's uncomfortable, and there's nowhere to put your feet, but it is doable. But I wouldn't really recommend it for this bike. It's already quite heavy, so with 2 people, you're probably going to have some kind of problem. Also, let me just demonstrate, because this is slightly lower to the ground, you'll see I can get my feet fully flat here. This isn't really going to be ideal if you're really tall. I'm just under 5'11", and when you're pedaling, your feet feel quite high and close to the frame, which is not really a big deal. But if you are a very tall person, this bike is probably not going to be ideal for you. But if you're 5'11" and under like me, I think you'll be okay, maybe if you're a bit over that. But this is a bit shorter and lower to the ground, and because of the seat design, this does not have an adjustable seat. I suppose you could maybe get a custom seat if you wanted to, or some kind of aftermarket one that lifts you up a little bit higher. That would be one way of sorting that out, but just bear that in mind, you are quite low to the ground on this bike. Before we delve into the rest of the review, please note this product was sent to me for free for review, and if you'd like to pick it up and also support my channel, you can find a link down below.
This newer version has a total of 33 amp hours of battery when you add the 2 together. The top one is the bigger one. It has front and rear lights, front and rear suspension, mechanical disc brakes. I got its top speed up to 26 miles per hour. It has 20-inch fat tires, and its max range is 107 miles if you use pedal assist level 1, and you'll get maybe 50 with throttle only. Bear in mind, these are best case scenarios. You probably will get 10 to 15 miles less than this in real world range. Here you can see me testing the front and rear suspension, and this also gives you an idea of kind of the seat position, especially if you're a similar height to me, just under 5'11". So you do have to bear in mind that this being a slightly lower bike, your knees are going to be higher when you're riding, which is something I will talk about more when I do the ride test later on in the video. I also really like the look of this bike. I just think it looks very cool, and I had quite a few people ask me what it was when I was riding. They're like, what the hell is that? And I had to explain to them it's just an e-bike. It looks kind of like a motorbike. The top battery, which you can purchase separately if you already have one of these e-bikes and you want to upgrade it, it's pretty hefty, as you can see, And it also comes with a bracket that you can mount on. It's really easy to do, don't worry. You have an indicator on top which shows you how much charge it has, and this did feel like it was a bit of a snug fit. You do kind of have to tap it to get off, and this is the 20 amp hour battery, so the bottom is 13 amp hours, giving us a total of 33. And I was a little bit disappointed to see that the batteries have separate keys. I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's just slightly more annoying having to have two keys you got to use. Interestingly, the 13 amp hour has a switch to turn it off and on, but the additional one on top does not. You see we have the charging port on the side and also a USB port to charge stuff. So this is pretty cool. You could route a cable up to the handlebars if you want to charge a phone or some kind of other device. It's not really going to be good for weather though, and not really a good permanent solution. When you're taking the bottom battery out or putting it back in, you need to make sure it's unlocked, and then when you put it back in, you need to put it back in the unlocked mode and then lock it. You also get a nice battery indicator on this, same as the one on top, although I prefer the one on this one. And as I said earlier, this is 13 amp hours and also 48 volts as well.
So if you guys are wondering how you attach the extra battery, especially if you already have this bike and you want to get the additional battery, if you're wondering how you actually wire this in, it's very simple. This rear seat has 4 bolts in it that you need to take off, and it lifts off, and the extra battery comes with a hub or kind of like a junction box. All you have to do is disconnect one cable underneath here. It's just a simple connector that you pull apart, and then you plug one end into the hub, and then you've obviously got your additional cable and then the extra one from the battery which you plug into the hub, and it's that simple. There's no wiring or anything. You're literally just plugging some connectors into each other. So very nice and simple if you do want to upgrade your bike.
On the handlebars we have a pretty standard control panel, nothing too exciting. This is one of the better ones I've used. It has a nice bright screen. It's pretty big and easy to see. You can switch between your pedal assist modes, and you also have a little control below it which does your horn and your lights. And then on the right hand side you have your 6-speed Shimano gear system, and then our little throttle. And it feels a bit different to some of the ENGWE ones I've used before, a little bit more robust and a little bit more grippy, so I did quite like this one over some of the others that I've used. This bike has nice bright rear and front lights, and they're built into the main system, so no need for messing around with batteries. You get dual lights on the front which look really cool, like a retro motorbike look. And also the front light is always on, and then you have kind of like a main beam that you switch on using the light button. The rear light is off and it turns on when you press the on button for the light, and it will light up regardless when you brake, whether it's turned on or off. So it's pretty obvious to tell from the design and also the advertisements for this bike that it's designed to be much more geared towards use in electric only mode. And I would say that while riding it you kind of feel that way also. You'll see how high my legs are coming up here because of the shorter low down design of this bike, and it doesn't really feel natural for someone. So I wouldn't even say I'm tall, but if you are a bit taller, you're probably going to find this even worse than I did. It's definitely not bad, but the position that you're in when you're pedaling this bike does not really feel natural. And here I'm just using it without any pedal assist, and then I turn it on in a second. It's also worth noting this bike is not using any kind of torque sensor, so you are going to get that kind of delayed response when you start to pedal before the pedal assist kicks in. You can switch between your pedal assist modes to determine what speed your pedal assist will get you up to, but if you are looking for a bike that you'll be using pedal assist a lot and you'll be doing a lot of pedaling, I'll say straight up, I don't think this is going to be the bike for you. If you are looking for a bike that offers a better pedal assist experience, I would go for a minimum with something with a torque sensor, and then if you want to go a little bit better than that, look for something with a mid-drive motor, which lets the motor in the bike utilize your gears. But that isn't why I was looking at reviewing this bike, and I don't think it's why most people would purchase it. It's obviously geared towards being used in full electric mode, and the dual batteries makes it really ideal for that because you're going to get better range, and just the ride position and overall feel of this bike makes it feel like something that you want to use in full electric mode. It feels really cool to ride, and that lower down position just, I don't know, it makes it feel more sporty and more fun to ride around. While having mechanical brakes does give you the benefit of less maintenance, this bike I feel like really should have had hydraulic disc brakes. While the braking on this does feel safe enough, I just feel like because of its design, it really should have had some slightly more heavy duty brakes. Maybe this is me nitpicking, but if you own this bike, let me know what you think. I did do some brake tests from quite a high speed, and as I said, the bike stopped quickly enough that I felt that it was safe. But when you use hydraulic brakes, they definitely do stop bikes quicker and just feel a lot more robust and safer to use, I would say. While I wouldn't recommend this bike for any serious off-roading, for light to medium off-roading adventures, I feel like this handles pretty well, as you'll see me testing here. Out of most of the heavy e-bikes I've used, I just felt like this one felt the most comfortable on the suspension and was a little bit more forgiving. This might have been because of the bigger, wider seat, I'm not sure, but the suspension did seem to handle the bumps and some of the little jumps that I threw at it quite well. But obviously, a bike that's this heavy, you do need to be careful and not go too crazy when you're off-roading, as it's quite easy to lose control of an e-bike this big. One thing's for sure, if out of all of ENGWE's lineup you want a bike for full electric mode and you want something that feels quite sporty and low to the ground to drive, this one is definitely a clear winner. And when you add up the range from the dual batteries, this is also going to give you a lot of time before you run the batteries down. So let's talk a little bit more about range. How far can this actually take you, especially if you have the dual battery version? Well, if I also do a full range test, I think this would be a whole separate video, but you'll see I've done 12.7 miles and the indicator on the control panel is saying the battery is still full, and both batteries themselves I individually check and you can see they both say they're full still. So I went ahead and did a bit more research and I found two separate videos of YouTubers testing this bike with the single battery version only using full electric mode, and they both got about 20 miles. When you consider that this version actually has the upgraded bigger battery, which is the 20 amp hour instead of the 13 amp hour, I think it's pretty safe to say this bike will definitely get 40 miles, probably more like 50 miles. And I think for this bike's speed, power and size, this is very impressive, and if you want something with really good range, I would definitely recommend going for the upgraded battery version. You can get the dual battery version that doesn't have this chunky 20 amp hour battery on top. It has two of the 13 amp hours, so you have a couple of different options there. To me, I think it's very clear who I can and can't recommend this e-bike to. If you're after an e-bike that you really want to use in full electric mode and very occasionally use pedal assist, and you want something with very good range, then this bike is probably an easy recommendation. However, if you want something a little bit more sensible and maybe a more traditional e-bike with nice pedal assist, then this bike is probably not going to be for you. But as always, please check out some more reviews before you purchase this product, as sometimes us reviewers miss things or forget to include things in videos, so please always get a second opinion before making a big purchase like this. However, if you would like to purchase this product, you can find a link down below which will also help support my channel. I really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. And of course, I will see you in the next one.